It's a very complicated case. You know, a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous. I'm talking, of course, about the looming debt ceiling battle, and I'm also talking about that sage slacker, the Big Lebowski, or El Deuterino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing. Hit it.
Willie doesn't care about anything. He's a nihilist.
He believes in nothing.
He believes in nothing, Lebowski, nothing.
So what, you might ask, is the connection between a bloodthirsty ferret into the bathtub and the debt ceiling? Well, writing in the Washington Post today, Chris Cillizza and Sean Sullivan argued that there's potentially a strand of nihilism running through the public right now over the possibility of a default. They say, crunch the numbers, and you'll find that almost 6 in 10 people who say they don't want to raise the debt limit also believe not doing so will cause serious problems for the American economy. Let's bring in our panel. CNN contributor and Washington correspondent for The New Yorker, Ryan Lizza, columnist for Bloomberg View, Margaret Carlson, and CNN contributor and Republican strategist, Kevin Madden. Kevin, nihilists? I mean, that's not my theory. It's Chris's.
Yeah.
I want to give them credit for it. But I mean, how can so many Americans think this is going to be bad for the country? Let's do it.
Well, look, I actually disagree with the movie reference. I still think, like, right now, the way these battles are breaking down inside the Republican Party up on the Hill, it's more like Miller's Crossing.
Nice.
Where you have, like, different
Keeping
bands
it Coen brothers. I
right?
appreciate keeping it Coen.
Right. And I think what the distraction is, it's so much about process here inside Washington, D.C. And the real message about why Republicans are fighting on the debt limit isn't breaking through. And that becomes a big challenge for them going forward. How is it that they align themselves with a lot of the anxieties that the American public has about spending and deficits and a Washington that is sort of working in an inefficient manner? And how do they get back to showing that they believe in governing, that they can govern in an able way? And
Margaret, writing in yesterday, you said of the president, if he's not a lame duck, he is certainly not roaring like a lion. Does he bear any of the responsibility for this cliff that we're all careening towards?
You know, when you ask Kevin that question, I was thinking that, crying a little bit of wolf over the sequester and all the times we were going over the cliff and horrible things were going to happen and then they don't, which is partly why you get these polls that have a certain nihilistic element to them where the public just, doesn't believe.
They don't
think it's going to be that bad. And then there are those who say, well, let's have some short-term pain for the long-term gain that the anarchists are promising us. We have, before what the gods would build, they must first destroy. So let's have it.
We're getting very philosophical on that.
Yeah. I could do Fargo for you and say someone dies.
Yeah,
nice.
Wood chipper
to stick with it.
So, Ryan, you and I have talked about this, the people in the House Republican caucus and the power they wield. Let's play some sound from individuals talking about the move to defund Obamacare, and if it's not defunded, then the government will be shut down.
Republicans have no interest in defaulting on our debt. None. We just want to find a way to pay it off.
We can't let the government shut down. We can't be kamikazes, and we can't be General Custer.
I think it's a suicide of the caucus, and I hope enough of them will realize that.
There are two things going on here. Obviously, there's the funding of the government, and also there's raising the limit of the debt ceiling. But tell us more about what Charles Krauthammer referred to as the kamikaze caucus. Are there people really who just don't understand that this money, that raising the debt ceiling, these are bills that we've already paid for, or not haven't paid for, that these are bills we've already racked up, things that Congress has already passed, spending bills that Congress has already passed?
Yeah, it seems to me that they've taken two issues. One issue, defunding Obamacare, which the polls show that Obamacare is not incredibly popular. So it's
that's one way to put it.
It's reasonable for Republicans to continue chipping away at that. But
right.
Now they've tied it to something that is deeply unpopular and which every member of the Republican establishment, to the extent that they still wield power, agrees is suicidal, and that is using this to potentially shut down the government or default on the debt. So it seems like they've made a huge tactical error in tying those things together. But to defend the sort of if you look at the 80 members of the House that forced Boehner to do this, these 80 Republicans, I was looking at the numbers today. Obama lost their districts by 22 points on average. These are deeply conservative districts in the South and Midwest that don't view the incentives of the National Party the same way. They are going to get reelected. They represent extremely conservative people. They represent people who want them to do what they're doing right now. So Boehner's incentives and the bulk of his caucus incentives are just not aligned.
Well, just real quick though, I think there's two tracks there tactically, and I think the first part for Boehner is he has a choice whether he can just tell everybody that this isn't going to work and it's suicide, Right. Or he can take the other track, which is give everybody the vote that they want, those 80 members, and demonstrate that this is something that we've tried and now let's look at other options. And that, I think in the long run, that is always where John's success has been, is listening to his caucus, listening to his conference, understanding that there are elements in there that demand a vote, giving to them, and then working on trying to find the best solution.
You know, he's tried other ways, but now he's treating them like children, which is, I'm going to let you have that second ice cream cone, then you're going to be sick, and then you'll learn your lesson. But he's not leading them in the most genuine
having worked for
sense.
John, this is his approach. He believes in the institution. He believes that the House and the majority have to work their will.
But Kevin, I don't think it's that he believes it. That's the situation he has. He doesn't have earmarks anymore to buy off votes. He doesn't. You don't run the House the way you used to run the House.
Undercovered things in this whole debate is because when they got rid of pork, they
got
rid of a
ability.
way to get people to vote for things.
No, that is a big problem.
And
And when I used to work for Tom DeLay, he used to call it growing the vote. And then little by we started everything at around 190 votes. And then how is it that you grow the vote to 218 or 225?
What did you do?
You kept people up
you
until
worked. You
3
did
in
a
the
lot of
morning,
listening,
right?
and you worked with a lot of times you were working with these swing districts, and you had to address whether it was a hospital in their district or a road. And a lot of that's gone now, and they don't have it. It's hard to
Can't buy
grow the
the
vote
votes
now.
like
Kevin, Ryan, Margaret, thank